Good evening. I'd like to call the reorganization meeting to order. It is 7:01 p.m. The reorganization meeting of the Board of School Directors is now called to order. I will now take roll call. The following are holdover members of the Board of School Directors: Mr. Needleman.
Here.
Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Mrs. Green.
Here.
Mrs. Hubley.
Here.
Mrs. Hughes. Dr. Taratusky. Mr. Bedard.
Here.
At this time, I would like you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next agenda item is notice of the organization meeting. Pursuant to section 402 of the Pennsylvania Public School Code of 1949, as amended, you were informed that the reorganization meeting of the School District of Springfield Township Board of School Directors would be held on Tuesday, December 5th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Springfield Township Middle School Audion, 1901A East Paper Mill Road, Orland, PA 19075, and that the meeting was also available via virtual platform. Directions for the connection to and participation to the meeting was published on the district's publicly accessible website, www.sdst.org. The agenda for the meeting would include the election of the president and vice president of the Board of School Directors. At this time, we will take comments from the public. Currently, there are no public comments on non-agenda or agenda items. The next agenda item is nominations for an election of temporary president. Are there nominations for temporary president?
I nominate Carla Green.
Are there any other nominations for temporary president? As the nominations are closed and Mrs. Carla Green is the only candidate nominated, I move for Mrs. Carla Green, election by acclamation for the position of temporary president. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Good evening. Next agenda item, seating of the newly elected board members. The Montgomery County Board of Commissioners has certified the results of the municipal general election of November 7th, 2023 in Montgomery County for the office of school director in the Springfield Township School District as follows. And please stand and come forward, Ms. Eileen Bell and Mr. Sean Jordan.
No. It's just the newly elected, correct?
Actually, all the board members who are not seated, someone is sworn in.
Okay.
You can do it collectively or you can do it individually.
Mr. Needleman. Mr. DeFranco. And Mr. Bedard. Please repeat after me. Together. I do solemnly affirm that I will support, obey, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity. Thank you. Take a seat. Next item, nominations for president for the ensuing year. Are there nominations for president?
I'd like to nominate Mr. Jeff Bedard.
Are there any other nominations for president? As nominations are closed and Jeff Bedard is the only candidate nominated, I move for Jeff Bedard, election by acclamation for the position of president. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. I found this on.
I now turn the meeting over to Jeff Bedard.
Thank you, Ms. Green. That was an incredible temporary president performance. So I'm gonna keep that in mind, everyone on the board, future.
You did the best out of any district I've had contact with. The best effort.
We'll now move on to nominations for vice president. Are there any nominations for vice president?
I nominate Michael Needleman.
Are there any other nominations for vice president? Okay, since there are no other nominations and Mr. Needleman is the only candidate nominated, I move for election by acclamation for the position of vice president. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I just want to make sure we get that for the record. Any opposed? Excellent. Wow, congratulations, Mr. Needleman.
Congratulations to you.
All right, now in the reorganization, we also do take a look at appointments of individuals for committees. We have 4 primary committees, and I would like to present those appointments now. For academic affairs, we will have Ms. Amy Hubley, Ms. Carla Green, Ms. Karen Taratusky, and Ms. Eileen Bell. For policy committee, we'll have Amy Hubley, Sarah Hughes, Carla Green, and Sean Jordan. For property, we'll have Neil DeFranco, Michael Needleman, Karen Taratusky, and Eileen Bell. And finance committee, Sarah Hughes, Neil DeFranco, Jeff Bedard, and Sean Jordan. Any comments from the board on this reorganization? Very good. We will also have individuals fill available positions for representatives for our vocational technical school and the Montgomery County Intermediate Unit and other community groups. I'll go through those now. I move for the appointment of the following individuals. For our MCIU representative, Ms. Amy Hubley. For Eastern Center representative, Ms. Eileen Bell. For Springfield Parks and Recreation liaison, Mr. Neil DeFranco. For Legislative Committee liaison, Ms. Sarah Hughes. And for the Pennsylvania School Board Association liaison, Mr. Sean Jordan. Finally, for Springfield Township Library liaison, Ms. Carla Green. Any comments from the board on these appointments? No? Well, I will turn it over to Dr. Yannicone if there are any comments from your office on this reorganization.
I'll just say congratulations to Mr. Jordan and Mrs. Bell, the new members of the board, and thanks very much for continued service from Mr. DeFranco, Mrs. Hubley, Mr. Needleman, Mr. Bedard, and Ms. Green. And Ms. Green, thank you again for serving as temporary president.
All right, any comments from the public? Here, I don't think we had any signups for the reorganization. Okay. Well, with that, we will adjourn this meeting, and we do have a regular board meeting, which will follow the session immediately. And I just want to add, for the record on this meeting, a great appreciation for our new board members that are joining, and for our continuing board members. Guys, we are really blessed to be part of this community, and blessed to have a group of folks like you who are willing to invest your time and energy into the district. So thank you for your volunteer work here. All right, we'll adjourn and we'll start right back up. Evening. It's been some time since we've been together. Today's Tuesday, December 5th, 2023. This is our regular board meeting for the school district of Springfield Township. Since we had a reorganization meeting, I'll use that as our overall welcome and again, appreciation to all the board members for your service. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission statement of the school district of Springfield Township is to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high achieving, resilient, and responsible in a changing global community. Let's have roll call. Ms. Green.
Mr. Needleman.
Here.
Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Mrs. Green,
Here.
Mrs. Hubley,
Here.
Mrs. Hughes, Dr. Taratusky, Mr. Bedard.
Here.
Mrs. Bell,
Here.
Mr. Jordan.
We just have one announcement before we get started. The board, at its discretion, may videotape all or any portion of public board meetings subject to the limitations set forth in policy 006 meetings. Board meetings are broadcast on Friday afternoon following each board meeting. We'll jump right into the superintendent report from Dr. Yannicka.
Thank you, Mr. Bedard. I have two information points for news and happenings. Thespian Troop 1154 had an amazing weekend at the Pennsylvania State Thespian Conference. 24 Spartan thespians, along with their 4 directors, took part in the event. The high school cast of Almost Maine, directed by Jelly Vizossi, won top honors in the state as, excuse me, we're just offline for a moment there. They won top honors in the state as the chapter select production and will be the only troupe from Pennsylvania to perform a one-act at the International Thespian Festival this summer. In addition, Maddie Fritsch received an All-Star Cast Award for her outstanding performance in Almost Maine. Next, Maya Eisenhart was elected from a very competitive field as one of the 7 student state board members for next year. She will help plan and lead the 2024 conference. Our thespians also received a gold honor troop certificate. Sorry about that. I'm having some interference there. As one of the strongest, most active troops in Pennsylvania. We're really proud of our thespians and grateful to them for their leadership. And next Wednesday, I want to invite all members of the community to attend the Multicultural Parents Association meeting. They will be hosting their second quarter meeting at Erdenheim Elementary at 6:30 p.m. in the library. I will be the guest speaker, and the focus of my remarks will be a preview of the Equity Action Plan Year 2 goals and accomplishments. The full presentation will take place on Tuesday, January 16th, here at our board meeting in alignment with the board policy 832, educational equity, which requires an annual report to the board. Under the agenda, I just have 2 notes for you. One is to thank Sam Jenko and Kara Green for their work and that of the entire finance department, which has led to a clean audit for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. The audit is on the agenda for your approval and was discussed at the November 14th Finance Committee meeting. And secondly, you'll see in the agenda, there is a ramp and fencing project at Erdenheim for your approval. This project, which is focused on student accessibility and safety, has come in quoted under the budget discussed at the Property Committee meeting and is scheduled to occur next summer with your approval. The project will be funded through the bond we obtained last year for $10 million for capital projects, including the school roofs, middle school track and field improvements, and the initial cost for the middle school renovation and addition project. So those are the 2 key items under agenda. And finally, I'm going to share my screen because I'm thrilled to have with us tonight for our spotlight. We have our esports team and their advisor, Mr. Kevin Maharaj. And Kevin, I'll invite you up. Come on up to the podium with your team. And I will share my screen in just a moment. There we are.
Four of us sit, one of us stand. Whoever's talking to stand.
Hello, gentlemen. So you can double check that the microphone is on there for you. There should be your green lit. Mr. McHugh says you're good to go. Your slides are right over here to the left, and we're happy to have you with us tonight.
Thank you guys for having us. And we're really appreciative for all your support through the years. Here today, I have four members of our high school esports team. We have Matt Bunkin and Rashawn Ramdas. They are part of our League of Legends team. And here we have Ari and we have Joseph, who are part of our Smash Brothers team. So I think it's nice to see when students get to do these. So I help them with the slides, and I'm going to turn it over to them. And we're going to put them in the spotlight.
I'll just stand.
Thank you, Dr. Maharaj. I guess I'll sit. So, esports, I'm sure that many of you guys have heard of it. It's been all throughout the news in recent years with the Fortnite world champion, who I believe was also from Pennsylvania, who earned over $1 million, if I remember correctly. So it's a very competitive new sport, though it's a little bit different because it's all electronic. So rather than focusing on the physical aspects where somebody's throwing a ball, they're swinging a racket, with this, we're holding a controller and we're competing against other people rather than in front of you. It could be somebody across the country. It could be somebody from a different state. So I feel like that's one of the things that makes esports one of the most valuable and really unique things. Is it like a... All right, thank you. All right. All right. So as of 2023, there have been unbelievable amounts of growth and opportunities in esports. So for example, you can see the stats up there. People can make a lot of money in this. And esports in general makes more viewership than the MLB or the NBA or the NHL or the MLS. So just the fact that esports has gotten so much public attention, I find that to be really amazing. And I just love that this newer industry is becoming such a big player in the field. No pun intended. So in high school, there are many sports that people play. At Springfield, we have football, soccer, water polo, swimming, field hockey, just to name a few. And video games have just been growing and growing and growing. As you can see up on the slide, 72% of high schoolers play video games. So with something so ubiquitous, it's no surprise that competitive video games have become so mainstream. And additionally, with the new opportunities in universities and even in the military, I think it said, or at least the military academies, they have esports teams. And continuing from there, even beyond the collegiate level, the skills that you can gain from esports, the familiarity with video games and how technology works can be used in all sorts of industries. It can be used in game design. The act of putting together a team can be used in order to help lead teams. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you. So just all the skills that you can gain from learning how to market yourself like we're doing right now. Don't worry, it's not just me. All of us are going to end up talking. And also from the technical difficulties that naturally pop up, you learn how to really just get used to the technology and you gain a true awareness of what you're dealing with there. So that's just a larger demonstration of just how many different opportunities you have that can all branch off of the skills and the experiences that you get through esports.
Hello, everybody, members of the board, citizens. Sorry. So the E in esports also stands for everyone. See what we did there? It's more accessible than traditional sports. And what we mean by that is people some people aren't naturally gifted with certain athletic abilities that teams are looking for. You know, they're more mentally gifted or they have other sorts of aspects that can help them out. But with the problem with traditional sports is that you need that. Sorry. The problem with traditional sports is that it's so hard to get into. It's a niche market. But with esports, it's very accessible. And especially with Springfield having an open program, makes it so anyone can join. And especially for me, when I first came into high school, I didn't know what my place was. I was looking around. I saw all these sports that I naturally wasn't gifted at. So I'm really proud of myself for finding esports, and I'm glad we had the opportunity. And speaking on the last point there, you can be a productive citizen with a passion for video games. Personally, I'm a senior. I'm taking 5 AP classes, and I'm in esports. And I am still able to balance everything just as I would with another sport. Speak on this.
Hello, everyone. I'm Rashawn, part of the league team, and our mission, or what Dr. M's mission for the esports team is to create this sort of like this community that has a sort of culture that simulates excellence, inclusivity, growth that benefits both the students in the virtual environment and the learning environment, because it helps these skills that you learn through esports also help things in the real world and what will prepare you to be more successful in things that are outside of esports.
All right, so this is our second year in the program, and can you just click that?
Forward.
Yeah, forward. So our first year, we had a group of seniors that were passionate about video games, and it created this really community. And being seniors, they went through a lot of tragedy last year, and the esports team kind of like huddled around each other, and it created that space for them to kind of deal with some of those emotions and had that support with one another. So our biggest focus was community, whether it was competitive or non-competitive. Community is a big thing. Last year we were in one league, the Pennsylvania Scholastic Esports League, PCEL, and we played one title, but we played it both in the spring and the fall. This year, we've shifted and we've kind of grown. Now we're part of 2 leagues, and we've offered 5 different titles. So how are we choosing these titles? One of the big aspects of esports is really making competitive gaming about strategy, communication, all these soft skills that industry are looking for. So we have been picking games that our leagues offer that kind of give us this team aspect where students have to communicate with one another. The League of Legends game team, they're amazing the way they communicate. And I don't understand half of what they're saying, but they're really good at it. So our main thing going forward is really creating a sustainable program. A program we hope maybe will start at the middle school and feed into the high school and make it something that we can all be proud of and everybody feels like they have a place that belongs.
To hop on that, the Smash team has something that they'd like to say.
So, in addition to the strategy aspect, which is very prevalent in the team-based games, it can also be applied to 1 versus 1 games like Super Smash Bros., where you have one player who uses one character and they're going against another player who uses another character. Because we have 3 players and we're going against another team's 3 players, and choosing how we can order the players that we have and choosing which characters that we have can help with our strategy in order to defeat 2 out of the 3 players in order to win that match for the day. So along with the strategy, we also have the team building. So even though it may seem that there's not as much of a team aspect to Super Smash Bros., morale is a major part. So there were some amazing, like really fun moments that we had this year. For example, our #1 player that we had this year, his name is Joshua Joseph. He had this amazing moment where he was just locked into the game, and it was really close. They were both down to their last life, and he said, "Watch this," and in the next second, he won the game. So just those amazing moments that you can build the memories for, and you can really gain these friendships.
Can I add on to that? Yeah, also to add on to that, like since it's like a team, but it's also the matches are individual, so it promotes things like problem solving. Because, for example, if you're playing against you're playing like your character against another character, and you can't change your character in the middle, so you have to adapt your strategy, like actively problem solve to beat your enemy character, because you aren't able to swap out with another one of your players while doing it. You just like have to adapt.
So going off what Ari said about making memories, a big part of that for us, I just want to direct your attention over there to the middle image of the esports room. So for our League of Legends and Smash team, that's kind of, like our sacred place. We love being in there during lunch and learn, practicing, having a great time together, making memories to enjoy. Something that, I haven't had in my early years of high school with teams ever since I found esports. So, it's just great to have that, being a part of the setup, the build, being really hands-on. It was just such a great experience.
It's also amazing. It's amazing to see the opportunity that we get once we've built and established this team. We were able to hit states, and as you can see, we went to Harrisburg and was able to secure a 3rd place score, and it's like something that I couldn't believe happened in high school, that I was able to join an esports team and sort of makes having accomplished a thing like that.
It's kind of our vision for the future. A sport is a sport when you have people watch you, right? Like you need fans cheering you on. You need to share what you're doing. And one of the biggest things that we're looking forward to is all that stuff that happened in the mainstream, like national broadcasters showing esports now. We want to kind of develop that within our program itself. Like our program is more than just the players. We want to develop marketing teams. We want to develop shoutcasters. We want people to be like commentators and really grow that aspect of our team as well. That it's not just the driver in the NASCAR, but we also have the pit crew as well. And there are so many different things within our school that we can use to kind of like help us get there. Another big thing that we kind of one of my passion projects is the gamification of education. And if you think of how we learning happens, most of the things that we learn are true through a game. Like you learn a sport by playing the game and figuring out the rules and what's right and what's wrong. Teachers use it all the time for review. They use these things called Kahoot, Quizlets, all those sorts of things. One of the biggest apps in the world right now, I think, is it Duolingo? It was a computer science teacher at Carnegie Mellon. He wanted to create an education app that would help like lower income people and have richer people pay for it. And if you think of how that app works, if you don't want to see the ads, you pay for it. If you don't mind the ads, it's free. And learning English was like one of those things that would further most people's station in life. And something like that, he used gamification and social media to kind of drive that as well. So there are so many things within esports itself that our kids are going to learn and take with them in whatever they seek to do. One other big thing that we would like to do is we'd like to host a regional tournament, like where we invite whatever schools, whatever students, they want to come to our gym and have that. It'll give our students the opportunity to plan an event, market an event, and kind of grow those other skills in addition to playing games. So we're looking forward to furthering that dream of being champions and learning that a champion is not just about winning a tournament, but how we treat people, how we lift others up, and treat each other in the virtual space. You guys want to say anything else? You good? Yeah.
All right.
You can click the last slide. The last slide's the most important. So we'd like to thank the board, Dr. Yannicone, Dr. Ritt, Mr. LaRocco, our whole tech department. You have no idea how closed down an internet can be when you're trying to do esports. So the tech department has been amazing. Mr. Lutz, everybody up there. I'm missing people, but thank you so much.
Yeah, and I think I speak on the behalf of everyone involved with esports from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you for providing this opportunity. It's really meaningful, and I think it's something we'll remember for the rest of our lives and continue in the future. Anything else you guys want to add?
I think you covered it.
Yep. Thank
Well,
you.
I want to say, thank you very much to the four of you and to Mr. Maharaj. Several years ago, we learned about esports. There was some promotional materials coming out from colleges and universities who were recruiting students to get involved in esports at the high school level because they had scholarship dollars they wanted to provide. Because as you pointed out in your presentation, there's a huge market for skills in this area, not only within the gaming industry, but well beyond that. And in the last 2 years, the first things we needed were students with an interest in the sport. And some of you may have been among the students who were carrying their own computers to and from home in order to make sure that they could play before we were able to purchase the computers that they needed, because gaming computers are a little different than these computers we're looking at right here. And we needed an advisor, and Mr. Maharaj stepped right up and offered to do that. We needed space, and the theater department gave us the space. They were voluntold, but they graciously gave up a theater closet in order to create a really nice space that you guys now use during lunch and learn for competition. And our tech department has been outstanding, so I appreciate you recognizing them. They've done a great job of really adopting this program and making sure that the teams had all they needed to be successful. And it is extraordinary that in only the first full year of the program, because you really were just getting rolling that last year, that you were able to not only qualify for states, but compete and win last Friday. So congratulations to all of you. We're excited for the future of esports. We are planning for the middle school to add an esports team in the near future. And Mr. Maharaj, thank you for your leadership. We really appreciate it. And thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Yannick.
And that concludes my report.
That was a great report. Guys, thank you very much. Incredibly impressive. I wanted to share with you guys, esports for me was the first time where I was like, wow, was I went to a professional soccer game to go see our Philadelphia Union play. And there's an esports suite that's now built into the stadium. And people who had paid to come see a professional sporting event were instead waiting in line for their opportunity to see the latest release of esports games. And so the growth is really undeniable. So thank you for being pioneers to help bring that to our school district. Excellent work. Any comments or questions from the board on the report?
I just want to say that you guys should all be very, like, you're trailblazers. You're starting something new here that will hopefully grow. And next year, hopefully there'll be 8 boys. Like, I'm very impressed by what you've done. Thanks for sharing it with us.
I just wanted to comment on just the aspect of community and bonding and togetherness that is so obvious even in your presentation. And just hearing the stories that you relayed to us about coming together even during the year last year. I just want to highlight this is just another example of Springfield School District reaching every child. And so, you know, we began with accolades for performing arts, which is wonderful for that first play of the year. And then also students participating in esports. So this is a place where every student can be involved in something that's going to keep them engaged in school. So thank you guys for the presentation. Even your style of presentation was very impressive. Thank you.
Before you all leave, because I want you to be able to go home and do what you have to do, like 5 APs. I'm assuming you have some work to do tonight. So, you know, sometimes I give out Spartan candy, and I think you guys have earned it with your state championship. And I brought extras for the rest of your teammates who couldn't be with us tonight. So Ari, you want to come up and then you can make sure that everybody gets a candy bar. All right. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Congratulations.
All right, that was a fun one. Thank you again for the presentation. All right, we'll move to public comment on agenda items, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Needleman.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dodd. Tough act to follow, but we are now going to turn to comments on agenda items. I don't see that anyone has signed up to speak in person, nor do I see any hands raised online. So while we give that a minute or so, let me just remind everybody that we do have a 3-minute time limit on comments, and I'll just ask that you identify where you live in the township before you begin. That babbling over, I still don't see any hands raised online, so I think we can probably move on.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Needleman. We have next on the agenda, some approvals of prior meeting minutes and reports. We'll start with the approval of minutes from our November 21st, 2023 regular hybrid meeting. The Board of School Directors approves the board minutes from November 21st, 2023. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. In a second. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Very good. No treasurer's report this meeting, but we will go into human resources topics. We have a personnel file. Recommended action. The Board of School Directors approves the following personnel as presented in the attachment: administrative personnel, professional personnel, support personnel, temporary personnel, and extra pay for extra responsibilities 2023-2024. Is there a motion? Thank you. In a second. Second. Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Personnel will pass. Moving to academic affairs. We have just one item. Recommended action here is the Board of School Directors approves a student settlement agreement for student number 2023-1205-01 per the attachment. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. In a second. I heard two motions.
I'll
so-
second.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Settlement will pass. On to finance. An exciting topic that was previewed by Dr. Yannicone. The recommended action here is the Board of School Directors approves the Finance Committee's recommendation to accept the audit report for the year ended June 30th, 2023, as prepared by Bartz, Gowie, Ammon, and Fultz LLC for the School District of Springfield Township. And details in the attachment. Is there a motion? In a second. Thank you. Any comments or questions? Well, I'll comment on behalf of the board and just congratulate the administrative team for a clean audit. And I appreciate all the work every year to make sure that we're sticking to the right rules and putting things in the right place. So great job. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we will accept the audit report. Nothing on policy this week, so we'll skip right to property. Again, as highlighted by Dr. Yannicone, we have a ramp and fencing project. The recommended action, the Board of School Directors approves TE Construction, the lowest responsible bidder for the Erdenheim ramp and fencing project in the amount of $845,900. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Thank you. In a second. Second. Any comments or questions on the ramp and fencing project?
I have a question on this. And I think I have to apologize. I've got information from many different meetings rattling around in my head. Sorry about that. I guess we've combined two projects with the fencing and the ramp.
Yes, so
Okay.
these are combined because they're both dealing with a combination of accessibility and safety.
Right,
So you may recall last year, we had Montgomery County Safe Schools come
right.
do an assessment of all 4 schools. And one of the recommendations was that we create some fencing to create a barrier between Springfield Way and the playground area,
Okay,
as well as fencing gates that are securing the playground area from any cars being able to drive onto that space
okay,
while children are playing. In addition, we had initially started with the ramp to create accessibility from the lunchroom to the upper and lower playgrounds,
right.
as well as egress from the lower classrooms to the playground,
Right.
Using that ramp so that it's fully accessible.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Was it separate estate fence project that I think was completed last summer that may have been the one?
Well, what's throwing me is the initial budget numbers from this from January of last year are different. And then when we discussed this at finance in October, I missed that there was an inflated number. I don't think we got into the details. So like, I know we're talking about this as being under budget, but when I look at my notes, I'm trying to tie it all together.
Yeah, let me clarify that in the screen, just reminded me. So the reason why you're seeing that combination in part is because we have a Safe Schools grant that's going to pay for the gates and fencing.
Gotcha.
So that's the discrepancy in the numbers you're thinking about from the finance meeting.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Mr. DeFranco, excellent question. Start of a new term. I mean, you're really digging in. I love it. It's good. All right, any other comments or questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, we will move forward with ramp and fencing. And that brings us to public comment on non-agenda items. So Mr. Needham.
Thank you, Mr. Bedard. At this time, we'll take public comment on non-agenda items. I do see one person has signed up to speak in person. not to be redundant, I'm just gonna remind you to please let us know where you live in the township when you speak, and I'll start the timer when you're ready. And with that, I'm gonna welcome Kim Crowder. Have I pronounced your name correctly? All right, great. To the microphone, please come on.
Okay, my name's Kim Crowder. I live at 427 Norfolk Road in Flowertown. I'm going to read to make sure I keep on my 3 minutes. First and foremost, I want to thank Dr. Yannicone for encouraging me to set up a meeting with Dr. Dennis. We had about 17 families who came out to speak and listen to what Dr. Dennis had to say, as well as listen to some of our concerns. And we're looking forward to continuing that discussion. I also wanted to report that I and other families had to complain again for the third year in a row that the student survey investigating whether or not students felt isolated was not adapted for students with exceptional needs. The students who probably need to express their opinions the most on that topic. After 3 years of bringing this issue up to the administration, Dr. Dennis was able to help staff in the appropriate buildings where the survey was being conducted to modify the survey so all students could participate. So I'm incredibly grateful to Dr. Dennis for her efforts. We greatly appreciate her time in taking care of that. In the email response I received from Dr. Yannicone on October 16th that the previous board members were copied on, she stated that I should bring my concerns to Jesse's case manager, and if I felt as though the case manager was unable to answer my questions, that I should reach out to Dr. Dennis. I followed Dr. Yannicone's instructions, and this is what I learned. During our meeting last month with Dr. Dennis, many of us brought up our concerns regarding the aides, which I have shared with you all, both through email as well as during the October school board meeting. We brought up our concerns about the lack of aides, the wages of these aides, and how that impacts all students in all buildings. Dr. Dennis shared with us that she was unable to discuss the salary issue with us, so I am back now here to plead with the board to ask more questions. I had sent a follow-up email after the October meeting to the board and formally requested that the board consider instructing the finance committee to direct the administration to do an analysis to determine whether or not we do in fact have enough aides, as the administration has insisted is the case. Much to my disappointment, not even one person responded or acknowledged my request. It feels as though our children are the last considered. We can't engage in conversations about this topic because the administration refuses to discuss the topic with us. As parents,
I'm so sorry to interrupt, just 1 minute left.
thank you. As parents, are we just supposed to sit back and watch new fields, new signs, and new capital purchases, watch students who no longer attend here be covered in private schools, and beg for attention because we recognize the problem? We're incredibly frustrated, and we are not going away. Too much is at stake. As such, many of the parents who participated in the previous meeting with me, along with myself, have engaged a third-party organization who will do the analysis I requested in October. And this is advance notice that we will be submitting an exhaustive list of documents under the Right to Know Law Act 3 in 2008, since it does not appear to our families who are literally afraid for our children's safety that the district is taking our concerns seriously. And I repeat the same thing I said when I sat here in front of you in October. If this were your son or daughter, would you stop advocating? Would you be willing to just brush aside your concerns for your child? And I brought Jesse with me tonight so you could meet him and look him in the eyes when you decide whether or not this topic deserves another look. Mom, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Crowder.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Wait, we're all done. You can say hi and then we're all done. Okay. He's telling you his Aunt Allie is pregnant.
And with that, I do not see that anyone else has signed up to speak in person. I don't see any hands raised online either. Perhaps we want to give that another 30 seconds or so. And we can move on. Oh, sorry, do you see? It's up to our board president, but I don't.
Yeah, I think if we're going to take a hand raise online, I think we could take a hand raise in the audience as well. Yes. If you could just come up and let us know where you live in the district. sorry, name and where you live in the district. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Tom Conwell. I live at 117 Orleman Avenue in Orland. My son Tommy is in 9th grade. He has a diagnosis of autism. He's had an aide with him throughout been at Springfield since 1st grade. He's had an aide with him every year. A good aide, what an aide can do is be with him every day. In elementary school, he had the same aide all year, every day, unless he or she was absent for sickness or something. Every day he had the same aide. That aide would know him, would know what he's capable of, is not a babysitter, doesn't just say, oh yeah, Tom, and give him the answers. Knows what he's capable of, gets the best out of him, makes him work. Now in 9th grade, he has multiple aides every week. He does not have one aide. He never knows his aide's name. I'm not putting these people down, but I'm saying the situation that it's just irregular. It just stinks. The aides don't know him. He doesn't know them. There's zero trust. I've gotten the impression from one aide that I talked to, the aide of the day. She said, I'm his companion. And he was hurt. I mean, he's not hurt, but he went to the nurse. And she said, I told him he'd be okay, and kind of gave me a wink. And I just didn't like the tone, right? The tone was like, oh, he's just a dummy. And, we know it's fine, she didn't mean anything wrong. I'm just saying, if she really knew him, she wouldn't have talked about him like that. And, so it's just not, it's no good. It's no good to have for kids with special needs who need special education. He needs to be understood. He can do a lot of things. You might not know to look at him or to talk to him because speech is difficult, but he can do a lot of things, much more than a lot of people realize. And so he needs to have the same aid every day. And, what would attract the best aides? What would attract someone to say, aides to come here and want to be here? It's a good work environment and good pay. I'm asking you to raise their pay. I know that's not easy. I know there's a budget, but I mean, we need to pay them, we need a better system for aides for our children who need an aid.
I'm sorry, that's 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And with that, I don't see any other signed up to speak in person. I think we can close this out. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Niederman. We have some future meeting dates. Our next board meeting is an interim board meeting on Tuesday, January 2nd, 2024. That is a hybrid meeting, and it's scheduled tentatively based on whether or not we'll have a full agenda. And we have a regular board meeting coming up on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. That is also a hybrid meeting. And just a reminder, all meetings are here in person in the middle school Audion located next to the cafeteria. We have some committee meeting dates on the horizon. We have property committee will meet this Thursday, December 13th, 2023 at 8 a.m. That's a virtual meeting. It's still tentative. And we have a policy committee meeting on Friday, December 15th, 2023. That is at 9 a.m., also virtual and still tentative.
Wednesday, the 13th. And they're tentative until the new committee members commit that they come.
Okay. The meeting is on Wednesday, December 13th, not Thursday, December 13th. That is for our property committee meeting. And the reason these are listed as tentative is because we just assigned new committees, so we would need to make sure everyone's available, but we should be good good to go for the agendas on those meetings. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the clarification. All right, I'll open it up to board members. Any comments or questions? Before we close the meeting? Okay, Dr. Yannicone, any closing comments?
I'll just wish everybody happy holidays. I hope everybody has a great break. We'll see you in the new year.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, everyone. We'll adjourn.